Good morning, everyone. My name is Nishant Saxena, and in today's session, we are going to discuss about the power system analysis. We are going to discuss about the symmetrical fault analysis, in which we are going to discuss about transients on transmission lines, short circuits of synchronous machines on no load, short circuit of a loaded synchronous machine, equivalent circuit of synchronous machine under subtransients, transients in steady state conditions. How we are going to select the circuit breakers, the criteria for selection of circuit breakers, an algorithm for short circuit studies, analysis of three-phase faults. First of all, what are the short circuit studies and what are the symmetrical faults? So before this, I would like to discuss about what are the short circuits. Short circuits are the interconnection between the two phases of the line or from the phase to the ground. It may occur due to several reasons. For an example, equipment failure or the lightning strokes or the falling of the branches or the trees over the transmission lines, the switching surges, insulation failures due to the heavy currents, and the other electrical and mechanical causes. All these are collectively called as faults in the power systems. So whenever such happenings occur in the power system and due to which the short circuit occurs, such type of happening is called as faults in the power system. So a fault usually results in high current flowing through the lines, and if adequate protection is not taken, may result in damages in the power apparatus. For an example, there is a short circuit between the two lines, and due to which a large amount of current flows through the circuit. You remember always that the fault is a low voltage phenomena. The voltage drops, but the current rises. The current may rise up to 2 to 3 times of the rated current. So it's always necessary to give the proper adequate protection to the equipment or to the transmission lines to protect it from the damages. For this, we always have the relays for those circuits which senses these types of faults and detect the faulty condition and send the trip signal to the circuit breakers. Then the circuit breaker will operate, and obviously it will disconnect the unhealthy portion of the section of the line from the healthy section of the line. So the short circuit studies, it's very important because it gives us the analysis of fault current by which we can identify the protection of the devices, the level of protection, the coordination between the relays, and also the protection of the devices. So in this, we will discuss the effects of symmetrical faults on the system. Here the term symmetrical fault refers to those conditions in which all the three phases of the power systems are grounded at the same time. For this reason, the symmetrical faults sometimes are also called as three-phase line to ground fault or 3LG faults. So let's start it with the transients in the RL circuit. We know that, look at this figure, we are having one simple RL circuit in which RLL resistance and an inductor are connected in series, and a switch S is been given which will be closed at a time instant t is equal to 0. A voltage is been applied of Vs volts. It has been assumed that the switch is opened and is closed at an instant t is equal to 0. This implies that the current I is 0 before closing the switch. We are assuming that the switch is open before closing it and there is no charge and the current is almost 0. It is 0 before closing the switch. So we shall first discuss the effect of closing the switch on the line when the source is DC. We will discuss this concept with the DC sources, AC sources, and then we will discuss the faults in AC circuits. So following this, we shall study the effect when the source is AC and we will show that the shape of the transient current changes with change in the phase of the source voltage waveform at the instant of closing of the switch. Look at the current waveform with respect to the time period in this figure when the source is DC. When the DC source is applied, that is V is equal to VDC, then the line current is been given by a differential equation, which is equal to nothing. We all know that di by dt is equal to minus R upon Li plus 1 upon LVS. Now the solution of this equation is equal to the to it is equal to e to the power is the sum of exponential term plus an integral term. Now look at this graph. We can see that the slope of the current rises. The current rises with respect to the time period, and it reaches to some steady state condition after some time period of around 0.04 seconds. More profoundly, it reaches to the 90% or 90% of the final value before the 0.04 seconds. And also, it is reaching to the 63.2% at the instant of less than 0.02 seconds. It is almost around to be 0.015 seconds. So with this equation, this is a plot from getting the from this equation itself. And when we assume the initial conditions, that is the current was 0 before the switching the S, before switching the closing the switch S, then we can say or rewrite the above equations. We can rewrite this equation. We can rewrite this equation as this: IT is equal to VDC upon R, where R is the resistance of the circuit, VDC is the applied voltage or the supplied voltage, R upon L is the time constant. It is also defined as by tau. It is the time constant of the circuit. T is the time period of the instant time period. And finally, it can be written like this: VDC upon R, 1 minus e to the power t by tau, where tau is equal to L upon R, which is the time constant of the circuit. Now let us assume some of the basic some values for this, and let's calculate the rate of change of current with respect to the time period. So when I am assumed that R is equal to 1, and for the inductance L is equal to 10 millihenry, and the VDC is equal to 100 volts, then the time response of the current is shown in the graph, for the which the steady state value is coming to be around 100 amperes. The time constant of the circuit is L upon R. That means it is equal to 0.01 by the time in which the current IT reaches 63.2%. So the time constant, it is almost be taken to be when the current reaches to the 63.2% of its value or the 5t time period, then it gives me the time constant. Approximately it is equal to the 5t of the value. Then its value, and it is obtained that the rate of change of current with respect to the time period, that is di upon dt, is coming to the 10 to the power 4. So we can see the current response remains unchanged when the voltage is DC. This is, however, is not in the case when the circuit is excited by an AC source. Now let us assume the source is an AC, which has been defined by the equation 6.5, where the source voltage is been given by root 2 Vm sine omega t plus alpha, where Vm is the peak voltage and alpha is the phase difference, and omega is the frequency. Now, if alpha is the phase angle of applied voltage, then the system response changes with a change in the alpha. As soon as the alpha is varying, the response will also vary. So the solution of equation number 6.2 For the source voltage of 6.5, this equation, for this equation 6.2, source voltage is AC, which has been given by 6.5, will be equal to the sum of the AC current plus the DC current. That it will be having the two components, the AC component as well as the DC component. Now, the important thing is that when you substitute the values, the AC current is equal to root 2V upon Z sine omega t plus alpha minus theta. Where theta is the impedance angle and Z is the total net impedance of the circuit. And the current, DC current, will be equal to 2 root 2 Vm upon Z sine alpha minus theta e to the power minus t upon tau. The tau is again nothing but the time constant, and Z is the impedance, which is equal to under root of r square plus omega l square, and theta is the impedance angle, which has been given by the tan inverse omega l upon r. Now the system response for the Vm, let's substitute the values. For Vm is equal to 100 volts and alpha is equal to 45 degree, we have assumed these things. The peak voltage is of 100 volts and the phase angle is of 45 degree. Then in this figure, both IAC and IDC are also shown in this. Let me show you the diagram. Look at this. In this response, we are getting the both components, that is the AC component along with the DC component. The DC component is exponentially decaying, whereas the AC component is varying with respect to the time period, sinusoidally varying with respect to the time period. Now go back to look at this again, the equation. It can be seen that IAC is steady state waveform of the circuit, while IDC dies out once the initial transient phase is over. Look at this. Look at this. The IDC is dying out. IDC is dying out and it reaches to 0 after some time period, whereas the IAC is consistently varying simultaneously with respect to it is in a steady state. It is in steady state. Now, if the transient is minimum, and the transient is minimum when alpha is equal to 90 degree, when we substitute this alpha is equal to 90 degree, then obviously the transient will be minimum. It will be omega t sine component. Okay, the circuit is switched on almost at the zero crossing of the current. On the other hand, the transient is maximum when alpha is equal to 0 degree. That is, if the phase angle is 0 degree, then it will be giving me the maximum transient, almost at the peak of the current. Now this is the current waveform of the figure 6.5 before and after closing the switch. The switch is closed at 0.1 seconds, and you can see the transients came into the circuit, and it is having both the components IDC and IAC initially. Look at over here. It is having the IAC and IDC for the first cycle, for the first few cycles, 2 cycles, and then after this, the DC component is decaying. It is exponentially decaying, and only the AC component will be remaining. So once a fault occurs, the system is allowed to reach to the steady state. The current phasor is given by 240 upon 0.865 plus this. From where we are getting? We are getting it from the previous values which we have substituted. The current has a peak value of 95.28 amperes. Look at this. It is giving me the peak value at 95.28 amperes. But it can be seen that the current rises suddenly and the first peak following the fault is 124 amperes. 124 amperes, which is about 30% higher than the post-fault steady state value. So it has to be noted that the peak value of the current will vary with the instant of the occurrence of the fault. Now, we can say the faulted current may shoot up anywhere between the 10 to 20 times the pre-fault current. The pre-fault current in this condition was around to be less than 10 amperes for an example I am taking. it would be 10 ampere, and now it is how much? It is the peak current is raised the first of 124 amperes, and then it is raised to how much? 98 point. It was at 95.28 amperes. So it is increased, shoot up by 10 to 20 times default current. So that's what that was. You can see, we can compare. Then in the DC, when a DC source is applied, only the DC component is remaining, is within the fault current, or we can say only the DC component IDC is there. But when the AC source is applied, both the AC and DC components are there. Now, one more thing I would like to bring into this. When we are having both the components IAC and IDC, we can say that it is of having a double frequency. It is having a component of double frequency. I will show you later. Now, when a short circuit is an unloaded synchronous generator, then how the armature current of the synchronous generator behaves. Now look at this. This is the typical response of an armature current when a three-phase symmetrical short circuit occurs at the terminals of an unloaded synchronous generator. The synchronous generator is not loaded. It is not supplying any power, electrical power to the system, but it is consistently running. So when a short circuit occurs, then what will happen? We can see that the DC component and AC component both again are present in the system. We can see over here that we are having the two envelopes. One is the DC component envelope and another is the AC component envelope. The DC is the decaying part and AC is consistently, first it is higher, then it follows the proper its own envelope. Now we will be discussing about the faults in AC circuits. Now consider this RL circuit which has been connected to the load, and a switch S is been given and a fault has been created at this. When as soon as you close the switch S, a fault will be created, and let's see the behavior of it. Consider that the 240 volt RMS is been applied at the circuit with a frequency of 50 Hertz. The resistance and the inductance values are been given 0.864 ohms and 11 millihenry, which is giving me the reactance of 3.46 ohms. And a load is RL comprising of 8.64 volts resistor and 49.5 millihenry inductor, which will be giving me a reactance of 15.55 ohms. With the system operating in the steady state, the switch is suddenly closed, creating a short circuit between the two, across the load. Now the current waveform I, which I will be defining in the next slide, is been shown to this. Now look at this. The current waveform is been shown to you, in which we can clearly see that the fault is occurred at 0.01 seconds. Now, as soon as the current occur, the current value is been calculated as 67.37. Now, this current is having a peak value of 95.28 amperes. However, it can be seen that the current rises suddenly and first peak following fault is 124 amperes. Now let's see the short circuit in unloaded synchronous generator. A typical response of an armature current when a three-phase symmetrical short occur at the terminal of an unloaded synchronous generator is shown to you, and it has been assumed that there is no DC offset in the armature current. the magnitude of the current decreases exponentially from higher values to the lower values to the zero. The instantaneous expression for the current is being given by this. That will show you. It has been given by this equation, where Vt is the magnitude of the terminal voltage and alpha is the phase angle. Here it is the Vt is the terminal voltage and alpha is the phase angle. Now in this you can see there are two components. There are two components where the xd double dash, xd dash, xd are the subtransient reactance, transient reactance and synchronous reactances. Basically these subtransient reactance, transient reactance and synchronous reactances are none other the conditions when we are having the inclusion of damper windings reactances, the field winding reactances and armature reactances into the consideration for the net equivalent synchronous reactance. Now in the subtransient reactance, basically the armature reactance, field winding reactance and the damper winding reactances all are occurring together simultaneously and they are being considered into the parallel combinations. So if when the three reactants are connected in parallel, then obviously the net equivalent reactance is being reduced, and since the reactance is reduced, the fault current will increase. The current will be having the higher values. So during the subtransient reactance period, during this first cycle, which is called as a subtransient period, the current value is quite high. Now during this transient period, what is happening in the synchronous reactance, that the damper winding has done its own work and it's completed. That means the reactance of the damper winding reactance has been eliminated. Only the field winding reactance and armature reactance will be into the consideration, and due to which the reactance is been increased. The net reactance, the synchronous reactance is increased. When the synchronous reactance is increased, then obviously the fault current reduced. So during the transient period, the fault current reduces from a higher value to the lower value. Then after again some time period, the field winding reactance is also eliminated and only the armature reactance and the leakage reactance are in series and giving us the synchronous reactance. So again the net equivalent reactance is again increased, and because of which the net equivalent current, short circuit current, is reduced. That has to be seen that the subtransient reactance, the transient reactance and the synchronous reactance, among these three, the synchronous reactance is the maximum and the subtransient reactance is the minimum. Now TD double dash and TD dash are the subtransient time constants and transient time constants respectively. Now in this expression, look at this expression. In this expression, we have neglected the effect of armature resistance. We are not considering the armature resistance in this. Hence, alpha is equal to 90 degree. You can say the phase angle is a 90 degree, purely resistance. We have neglected the resistance part, only the reactive part is there. So let us assume that the fault occurs at t is equal to 0 degree. At t is equal to 0, we will get the RMS value of current as equal to IF double dash is equal to Vt upon XD double dash, where Vt is the terminal voltage and XD double dash is a subtransient reactance. Now, in this, there are one more thing has to be considered, and that is that it follows there are two components. One is the DC component and one is the sinusoidally varying component. Now this first term is of DC current component, that is a DC offset current. This is the DC component, okay, along with which is varying sinusoidally, and we are having one more component over here. So this fault current is equal to root 2 Vt, multiplication with the terminology used as 1 upon x d double dash minus 1 upon x d dash e to the power minus t by tau and plus x 1 upon x d dash minus 1 upon x d e to the power minus t by t dash plus 1 upon x d into sine of omega t plus alpha minus pi by 2. Now, this component is having the double frequency component in it, which is also termed as the doubling effect. The doubling effect is nothing but when we are having the two frequency components in this, it creates a trouble in that. Now let's discuss glimpses what we have studied today. We have studied about the short circuit studies. We have studied what are the different types of, what are the symmetrical faults, what are the faults, and how the short circuit studies are very beneficial for the power system analysis. With the help of short circuit studies, basically it helps us to identify the fault currents, and with the help of short circuit currents or the fault currents, we can easily determine the protection requirements for the different equipments connected to the system, power systems. For an example, we are having a circuit breaker and a relay which are being connected at a particular location. With the help of that, with the help of short circuit analysis, we do the settings of the relay, that at what pickup level, at pickup current, the relay should operate, and to avoid the maloperations of the relay. So it is very essential to understand the concept of short circuit studies. Usually, mostly, while going with the relays or while going for the relay coordinations, the three-phase short circuits or the line-to-line fault currents are being used. Basically, there are two types of faults. One is the symmetrical faults and unsymmetrical faults. In this, we have only studied about till today. We have only studied about the symmetrical faults over on an unloaded synchronous generator, and what is the transient behavior of a DC source, AC source, and a faults in AC circuits. Also, we have seen that how these DC source RL circuit is behaving. AC source is giving us the transients in current for the both transients in the AC circuits, which is having both the components AC and DC components. And in this graph, the transient in current for the different values of alpha is also shown to you. With the increase in alpha, you can see with alpha equal to 0 degree, we are getting the maximum peak of the current. And with the alpha is equal to 90 degree, we are getting a minimum peak of the current. So, further, we have studied about the faults in AC circuits, how the short circuit behaviors are being studied, and what is the behavior of the current waveform of the circuit after and before closing the switch S. We have also seen the short circuit in the unloaded synchronous generator, XD double dash. We have seen the different reactances of a synchronous machine during the different instances of the time period of the fault. We have seen that subtransient period, we have seen the transient period and synchronous steady state time period. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now let's discuss few of the important concepts of the symmetrical components. Now, before we discuss the symmetrical components, it's very important to understand the alpha operator. In mathematics, we are having one operator that is called as an alpha operator, whose value is imaginary part, is an imaginary value, which is equal to the e to the power j 120 degree. or if we write it in a polar form, rectangular form, it will be minus 1 by 2 plus j root 3 by 2. Now, the above operator has some following the properties. If we do the square of this alpha operator, then it will give me what? Alpha positive value. If we go with the cube of it, then we will get 1. And if we go with the power of 4, then again it will come back to the same, it will give me the same value, that is the alpha operator itself. So there is one more property, that if 1 plus alpha square is calculated, is been added up, then it will give me the 0. Okay, now let me show you how does it work. Suppose we are having one circle in which it has been divided in a radial form with a degree of 120 degree, with a degree of 120. Now when we move this 120 degree, when we do the square of it, I will get what? The positive value of it. And when I will do the cube of it, I will again get the same value. Okay, and then after this, I will get the when I do the cube, I will get the 1, and when I do the power of 4, I will get again the 1. So it is basically nothing, but it is rotating with the magnitude keeping the magnitude constant. It is changing the phase angle. It is changing the phase, but keeping the magnitude constant. So anything multiplied with the power 1 will give you the 1 magnitude, but the phase angle is with difference by a 120 degree. So using the alpha operator, we can redefine this complete structure of the power system. Now, look at this. In this, the VA1 is been given